It is a real honor for me to be here this morning because what this event is about embodies so much of what the Wharton School is in at least two senses. The first one is that, I think if you're in a business school, you've got to understand that there's no rigor-relevance trade-off. Why not be rigorous about things that are really relevant? And that, I think, is an underlying credo of Wharton, as it should be as one of the world's best business schools. But the second thing to say about Wharton is a sort of answer to the question, why analytics? I don't know if anyone, I think there are some political organizations in the room. You probably know that there's somebody running for president who likes to talk about this institution called the Wharton School of Finance. Let me tell you, I know that it's never been the name of the Wharton School because when I go into my office in the morning, there's an etched in stone thing in the old Wharton School building that says Wharton School of Finance and. Now the and at the time was commerce, a term that isn't typically used in the US anymore, is used internationally about business schools. But I think having the Whartons, being able to say that Wharton is both the finance school and so much more than the finance school is a key part of the kind of understanding of what Wharton is that I'd like to convey to everybody, including to you. And if you think just for a second about what drives Wharton Finance, it's really about rigorous attention to data and analysis. And that's true of Wharton as a whole. History does unusual things, but how many of you know, for example, that Wharton has the entire statistics department of the University of Pennsylvania located in one floor of our Huntsman Hall? That might have been quirky a long time ago. It actually reflects the fact that Wharton is so central to the university's history. It used to have all of the social sciences there. But today it's an incredible opportunity for us, because we're living in a world in which the geeks are inheriting it. But what I think there about the sort of stylized geek leader dichotomy is that it's a false dichotomy. And that, if you think about the stuff, all the stuff that we at Wharton and other schools have talked about when it comes to the importance of leadership, the soft skills, I think soft skills is too dismissive a term because they're really, the power of leading, the power of empathy, etc. All those things we know about from our leadership courses are incredibly important. But there's an underlying bottom line, which is that better leaders tend to make better decisions. And better decisions are better informed decisions. And how do you make better informed decisions? You make better informed decisions by looking at all the stuff on the page or the feed that's coming in and making sense of it and making good decisions as a result. And you think about the pluses and minuses of the big data era. One of the minuses is there's all this information and no one knows what to do with it at all. And in fact, they're drowning in it. Or if you want to use a different metaphor, it's a blizzard. So if you're supposed to be able to see the horizon, how do you see it if there's a blizzard of incoming information? The answer is being better at analytics. So I think if Wharton is the analytics school, that's not an either or with leadership. It's a multiplicative and for me. It's a fantastic place for us to be. And this conference shows that Wharton is the analytics school. And it's true in our marketing department. It's true in our management department. It's obviously true in finance. It's true in our statistics department. Wharton is an analytics place. Let me tell you 3 personal stories about analytics, sort of eye-opening things for me about analytics in the last month of my life. So last night I had to go to, I had to do a normal deanly thing. I introduced a dinner conference last night in the Philadelphia Museum, with King Tut and all that stuff. It was in the Egyptian room. And it was a great event. I went home, I wanted to relax. Go on to, with my wife, sit down, have a glass of wine, go on to Amazon.com Prime, and we're desperately seeking yet another British murder mystery. And God, there are a hell of a lot of them out there. So how do you find the one that you're going to watch? Well, of course, the answer was they knew we'd been digging into these things in the north of England. and in the 1960s. So I can't remember, the accents are so heavy, but there are some of these mysteries about the Northeast, for those of you who know England, sort of Newcastle, where they have very strong accents. And then there were some other things about news organizations in London in the 1950s. Fantastic, I thought. Amazon put it together and said, the show for you is George Gently, who I'd never heard of. Now, my initials are GG and so are his, so maybe there was some kismet to that. But we turned on the show, George Gently, and it was fantastic. I highly recommend it. And this is not a plug for Amazon, right? It could have been on any of the other, it could have been on any of the other platforms, but that's quite extraordinary. I know, if I'd known about George Gently, of course I would have wanted to watch it. I just didn't know about it, and the analytics found it for me in an instant. That was quite extraordinary to me. Second, I was in Shanghai last month. Wharton has some extraordinary alums all around the world, people who are doing amazing things, China, India. I don't know whether you've talked, Pete, in this conference or elsewhere about a precocious Wharton kid called Kunal Bal, who is the founder of Snapdeal, not Snapchat, but Snapdeal, one of the two big companies in India vying to be the Alibaba of India, and Alibaba's invested in him, so that's good news for him. His is an end-to-end company. It's the kind of thing we understand. But I was in China, and I met another Wharton alum, a guy called Yu Gang, he did global supply chain for Dell. Then he had a big job at Amazon. And then he founded his own online grocer in China called Yihaodian, which he ultimately sold to Walmart. But now he's doing end-to-end online healthcare in China using analytics every step of the way. At one end over here, he's manufacturing generic drugs. At the other end, he's giving those drugs to individuals in China with no intermediaries, because he's got in the middle technology, doctors, way to connect patients, understanding of patient needs ex ante in a way that is completely not only streamlining, but I think potentially revolutionizing healthcare in China, one of the greatest challenges that country faces. Now, I'm not sure that his strategy, the FDA in the US would be so comfortable with his strategy, but for an emerging market like China, this is an extraordinary thing, right? You've got 1.3 billion people, 1.4 billion people. Everyone wants healthcare, but the only way they can get it currently is to go to the emergency room in a public hospital, right? You're not going to build X million more public hospitals to serve that population. You're going to do something, you're going to jump over that, and that's what Gang Yu is doing with this company. So I thought that's just mind-boggling to me that he can do that. Third example, I was in Dubai for a big global summity thing. Very weird. Dubai in February, if anyone's been there, is a place where Europeans go to the beach because it's warm. But of course, I was in my boring suit having breakfast next to these people in flip-flops, deciding when they're going to roll over to the beach. But when I was there, the most eye-opening thing I saw was a presentation on sustainability and efficiency. And I'm thinking, all right, why are they doing that? This is an oil-based economy, obviously. Why are they doing that? Well, the answer is they're thinking hard about a post-oil life. But the example of sustainability and efficiency that they used was something called BlaBlaCar. Does anyone know about BlaBlaCar? There are a couple of nods in the audience. This is either Uber on steroids or a sort of 60s hitchhiking with cell phones, with smartphones. But BlaBlaCar it's an online marketplace that brings together people who are driving from Philadelphia to New York with people who want to go from Philadelphia to New York. And what have they done? What's BlaBlaCar done? Two things that strike me just extraordinary. They've increased in France, they've increased the number of people in a commuter passenger trip from I think it's 1.6 to 2.8 people. Right? You just think about all of the resources we're squandering with all of those single driver passengered cars. And it makes all of our lives worse, right? We get gummed up in traffic. It's a problem in Europe. In Asia, it's beyond a problem, I think. But it also it's a better use of the asset. So if you care about gas consumption, this is a really important solution to gas. Second statistic that I thought was extraordinary about BlaBlaCar, again, in 2 or 3 years, is that if you've been in France, you know that everyone commutes intercity on, SNCF, the French National Railway. BlaBlaCar did more passenger miles last year than the SNCF, in like 1 or 2 years. How did that work? It worked because technology brought buyers and sellers, customers and businesses together in an extraordinary way. So I think everywhere you look, you see the power of tech innovations, and most of us tend to get excited by how cool the app looks on our phone. But if you think about what's actually making the app work, it's always data and analytics. So analytics is important for the Wharton School, it's important for the world. So I'm really so pleased to be here with you all today. I know you're in for a fantastic day. Maybe I'll be able to Q&A analytics in from my office or something. You probably don't know, Pete, that you stole this from Australia. The #1 politics TV show in Australia is called Q&A, and of course, since Australians love, they think they're funny, they call it Quanda. So I think it was okay that you wanted to call it Quanalytics or something, Colleen. But it's going to be a great day for everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. Welcome to Philadelphia. As Pete said, it's horrible outside, so it's much nicer to be in today. I'm sure there'll be lots of heat and light in the room. Welcome.